Hello and very welcome to my introduction to the Herbologist Society's Spring Reading Challenge. I have decided to create my own little reading challenge, as the many whole year-long challenges feel like quite a commitment, and for someone who doesn't read too many books each month, and a lot of the ones that I do read come from a library too, well, those challenges would require so much planning from me that I would feel overwhelmed pretty much right away. And that's not the feeling that I want from my reading. So I came up with this little challenge instead, for which I will have to read a maximum of 8 books in the 3 months of spring, which is definitely doable for me, and I'm excited for it for sure. And to make it even more fun, I came up with a backstory. So come join me as I explain how you can help the Herbologist Society grow some nice flowers by reading fitting books for a few prompts. But first, join me on a trip to the fantastical region of Thistlewood, where a letter has just arrived for you. Dearest member, the esteemed society must call for your assistance in procuring herbs for our fair region of Thistlewood. The stores have run distressingly low, and many potion masters have requested our assistance in ensuring the supply for their craft. Thus, if you find yourself able, please focus your attention on growing the herbs and flowers listed below for the coming season, as the society depends on your gracious assistance. Once you have read this letter, you wonder whether you should join the challenge and assist the society in their work. But what must you do to succeed in this quest? You look for your supplies and find that you have 6 flower pots left, which are currently empty and which you could use. But you still need to get the seeds to grow the required plants. These seeds grow in different places, and you will need to search for each in a specifically fitting book to grow 2 specimens of the herb. And of course you also need to care for these flowers. Some of them need a lot of sun to grow well, while others need a lot of water. At least your old watering can is still around. If you can provide for these needs, your harvest will increase to 3 flowers of each type rather than 2. With this knowledge in the back of your mind, you go look at what flowers and herbs the society requires from you. The first flower that you could go collect is the calendula flower. This one has been long known to be a good healing flower that is part of many salves, and it helps with many types of wounds. As you think about it, you remember that you're likely to find the seeds for this flower in regions where a lot of plants are growing. So you should go look for a book with a cover that has a lot of plants, flowers, or any other greenery on it. And then you're sure to find some of these flowers to pick up. For myself, I have 2 books that I bought on my last trip to Scotland that would fit to this prompt really well. So at the moment, I'm thinking about reading either The Fair Botanists or The Essex Serpent to get this flower collected. But of course, if you want to play along, you can choose whichever book you like, and I'm not sure which one of these 2 I'm actually gonna read for this challenge. I'm still much of a mood reader, so I like having some options available for myself. Anyways, as you go ahead and look at the next flower, you see that it is the chamomile flower, which is a beautiful, simple white flower that can be used to soothe the stomach and is often eaten by animals for that purpose as well. As such, the best place to look for this flower is by finding an animal that you can follow that will lead you to it. So look for a book with an animal on its cover so that you can follow this animal to collect the chamomile flower seeds and grow this plant. This one is quite easy for me because I love to read about animals and I love to learn about animals. So there is quite a good chance that I will actually read something non-fiction about some kind of animal. But because I just said it has to be on the cover, I might also go into listening to Sula, which is available as an audiobook from my library and just sounds like an interesting story and has this lovely little bird on the cover. Or as one of the possible books that I might choose if I go for non-fiction, I have a book about wild wolves in Canada. I have the German version, but of course that will also be available in English. So if that sounds interesting, you can definitely look it up as well. And with that, we can go ahead and look at the next herb. And while it's not a flower in the common sense, it of course has a biologically functional flower that is made up of two parts. And the second part of this flower looks a bit like a low ring that surrounds the main bloom of the plantain. So you can reimagine this ring around the main flower as a kind of border around the cover of your book. This means that for this plant, you will need to find a book that has some form of border around its cover, and you can then pick up 2 seeds from that one. Of course, there's a lot of options out there of books with borders around the cover, and just to show you what I mean, I have these 2 options that I might go for. I've been wanting to read a bit more cozy fantasy as well, and so the Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love sounds like a great idea to pick up, and it has this really lovely border around the whole book, so that would make sense. And my other option is a book that I also bought in Scotland on my last trip, which is a more piratey book, and it's called A True Account. And as you can see, it has this rope wound around the whole title, so that would count as a border as well. As I said, I'm not sure which one I'll pick, but let's look at the rest of the challenge. For these first 3 flowers or herbs, you need a lot of sun to grow them because they come from rather dry and sunny regions. So you should put them somewhere sunny to make sure that they grow well. How can you do that? That's quite easy. To get the sun to shine, you need S, U, and N in the title of your book, or a sun in some form on the cover. To be fair, when I was thinking about it, I thought more about the sun or sunlight on the cover. So what I'll probably read for this is Ariadne, which has a nice stylized sun in the background of her head right here. But I don't want to be really strict with the rules, so a book like The Spell Shop, where there's a lot of sunlight filtering in through the trees and it just looks like a really sunny day, would work for this prompt as well. And that's one that I also bought, I think 2 years ago now, so it would be great to get around to reading it at some point. But let us get back to looking at some nice little herbs. The next one is also not a flower, but quite a painful herb to collect because it stings you quite a bit. The stinging nettle is good for rheumatic illnesses, however, and it grows pretty much everywhere and is found in all kinds of natural places. That tells you that you can find it by reading a book that plays mostly, or at least for a longer part, in nature or in a historical setting where they were just around a lot more. This, of course, should also be quite easy to achieve because there's a lot of books with historical settings for sure, and also quite a lot of cool books that play in nature. For myself, I do like historical settings, and I could continue a series that I've already started with A Terribly Nasty Business, which is a kind of a fun mystery story in a historical Jane Austen-like setting. Or I might choose to go into a non-fiction instead and read Wild History, which is about different journeys into lost parts or old parts of Scotland, which sounded really interesting and obviously plays in nature. With the stinging nettle down, we can continue to another really beautiful flower, the Gerbera, which is a lovely, beautiful looking flower that you can get in many different colors. And it doesn't have any specific healing properties, but you can use it to help you color potions and make them more pleasing to the eye, and that's sometimes important as well. As such, the bright color is the most important part in finding this flower. If you go somewhere where it's really colorful, I'm sure you can pick one of them up. So choose a book that has a bright, colorful cover. If you want to be picky, pick one of the colors that the Gerbera exists in, so any types of reds, orange, pinks, and violets, or yellows. But you can also pick any other color because the function of this flower is just to bring color into your life, and that suits it well enough, I think. For myself, 2 books that I might be reading for this prompt would be The Poppy War, because it has this really beautiful orange, and I have read one of the books by R.F. Kuang last year and really want to continue and read more from her. Or also I have a really interesting collection of Native American legends that's called Voices of the Winds, that has a really nice dark red cover, and I might read this one instead. We'll see. And with that we get to our final flower, which is the valerian. This one is used in teas to calm people down and to improve people's sleep. And it is made up by a huge amount of tiny flowers in each blossom. And that is also exactly what you need to focus on to collect a valerian seed. You need to read a book that has as many pages as the valerian has flowers. So let's say more than 400 pages would be great. If you tend to not read that many books that are this big and you want to play along in this challenge, you can also go for something that has 300 or more pages. That would be kind of the easy mode for this question. But for myself, as I do read a lot of high fantasy and also a lot of longer books, I have 2 books that I am planning to read soon that would fit this prompt. The first one is The Strength of the View, which is book 2 of the Hierarchy trilogy. And I am currently on the waitlist for this book in my library, and it's supposed to be available for me in about 6 weeks, so that would work out just fine. And it has to be a really thick book again, so I'm guessing that that should definitely go above the 400 pages. And what I'm really in the mood to read is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. And this beautiful edition that I have on my shelf has 408 pages, so that would count as well. And you can already see it coming probably. This second group of flowers needs a lot of water to grow well, so you should definitely make sure that they stay wet. And probably you can already tell if you compare it to the sun prompt. Any form of water on the cover or the word water in the title would be suitable to function to fill up your lovely little watering can. For myself, I just got an advanced copy of The Water Lilies of Mishipeshu, which sounded really interesting and like a cool story to get into. And of course it has water in the title and on the cover, so that would work out fine. Or I also have quite a few books that are about people sailing somewhere. One of them would be the classic by Jack London, The Sea Wolf. And as that has an ocean and waves on the cover, that would count as water as well, of course. So I'm guessing that I will go for the water lilies, but I'm not quite sure yet, and we'll see. So this is all that I can tell you about all of these different plants and challenges. And with all of these plants, you definitely feel prepared to grow a huge range of herbs and flowers in your pots. So yeah, this is my little spring reading challenge. And if you do want to play along, starting on March 1st, then I have linked the rules and graphics, if you want to print them out on sticky paper like I will be doing, in the description of this video. And if you would rather just watch me collect and grow some flowers, and of course read some of the books that I have shown you, then you should definitely subscribe and stick around for my next few videos. I will soon be setting up my reading journal spread to prepare for the challenge, and I'd be happy to take you along for that. So thank you for watching and have a great day, and happy planning to everyone that wants to join in with me in this little challenge.